You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And hello, this is Mike Lodge. It's a Sunday morning. Getting up, getting my coffee, getting my podcast ready to go out. Listen, I'm going to play this for you. And then we're going to have a discussion about unemployment fraud. And I know that a lot of you thought that what you were doing was not fraud, but in actuality it is fraud. So I want you to listen to this recording, and then we're going to have a serious discussion.
Hey there, this is most likely going to be a two-parter. I had a conversation with my new neighbor who just moved in from New York City, he and his family. A nice couple. We had that conversation and I asked him how he liked the neighborhood. He said he loved it. He said it's a big change from his old Queens address. And he said it's a lot less expensive in Pennsylvania than it is in New York City. I said, really? He said, yes. He said he was paying $3,200 a month in rent. He said he was very thankful that COVID came along because landlords were no longer allowed to evict their tenants for non-payment. So he decided that he was going to stop paying his landlord. He was very proud of the fact that he was able to save $37,000 by not paying his landlord over 12 months and coming to Pennsylvania where he could buy a house. And he said the other stimulus checks that the federal government, state government gave him allowed him to increase that number to almost $50,000 US. I had a lot of things going through my mind as he was saying all of this, but I let him continue. He said he was able to put that up against the other $50,000 that he and his wife were saving over the prior 10 years. And he bought his house, he moved into the neighborhood, and yes, he paid $34,000 over the listing price. So my dog and I went back home, and I sent an email to a realtor friend of mine that I've known for many, many years, and I said, hey, Susan, here's what my new neighbor just told me. I got an email back from her in less than 5 minutes. She said, Greg, you have no idea the amount of fraud that is going on with this eviction notice crap. She's told me she sold 57 houses between March of 2020 and March of 2021, all to people from New Jersey and New York moving into Pennsylvania. And she said almost all of them have similar stories, how they were able to amass cash by just not paying their rent.
Now, that's not just happening in that part of the United States, but it's happening around the United States. And it's sad to hear. It's sad to see. Those of you who got those unemployment checks, so that money was given to you by the government, given to you by the taxpayer, to pay your freaking bills, to pay your rent, or portion of it. It was to help you to get through this pandemic. It was not so that you could save it up and go and buy a house. That wasn't what unemployment was made for. It was so that you could survive where you were living, in the life that you were in at that moment in that community. Those of you who took that money and didn't pay your rent and still have not paid your rent and refused to pay your rent, and who have gone out and bought in homes or gone out and bought in cars or whatever you've done, that unemployment money was not supposed to be used for that purpose. And for you not paying your landlords, when you were having money coming in, for you not paying your landlords, you committed a fraud. And by doing so, you just put the American taxpayer at risk. Because we had to pay for that. They went to the legislature, and the Congress, and the Senate all signed off on paying you these stimulus packages and helping you out on your rent and everything else, and you committed a fraud. Instead, you pocketed the money. You didn't pay for anything. And what did you do? You started to go to another state and do something else. Buy a new car. Buy a new television. Buy a new home. But you didn't do the ethical thing for your landlords. And now your landlords are stuck. Do you realize that they've got mortgages too? They've got property taxes that they have got to pay. They have got, in fact, that property tax they're obligated to pay, or else they will lose their house. That mortgage that they have on they're obligated to pay. And that bank put trust in you to pay the landlord. And what did you do? You committed a fraud. As an American taxpayer, I'm sorry, I do not accept that, and I do not think it's right, and I do not believe that you have an ethical bone in your body if you did that. I think we have to talk about ethics in the United States a lot more. And maybe that's what I'm going to have to do, is spend more and more time on this podcast talking about ethics and getting you to understand what ethics is within our lives and how we're obligated to practice ethics. Even in biblical terms, we are obligated to practice ethics. And if we're not doing that, at some point in time, all this unethical activity is going to come back to you and haunt you badly. And some of you may not be in places where you want to be. You may think that you pulled something over on the government. But you see, we, the American people, are watching you very closely. And when you do stuff like this, an ethical act of taking the money for your unemployment, saving that money up, not paying off your landlords, not paying off your debt, not paying for any of this stuff, then you have just committed the biggest fraud on the American people, on your neighbor, on your community, on your nation. Now, you guys have a way out if you still want to make this good. If you still want to make this good, within your tenant agreements, within your lease agreements, there is a clause in there that says that you can mediate your debt with the landlord. Mediate any type of issue. And right now you have an issue of non-payment. And as of July 31st, the moratorium on rents went away. And if you are not taking proaction and contacting a mediator and saying, listen, I need to mediate something with my landlord, if you're not doing that, once again, you're acting unethically. You see, you made a commitment when you signed that lease to make good on your rent. That was your commitment. That was your legal obligation once you signed that lease. The moratorium is over, so now you have got to start paying. There's not going to be any more extension. Even Congress on Friday could not get any extension because they were going home and they did not care about you. So they went home on recess. They didn't care. So since Congress didn't care on you, now you have a big obligation, and that is to resolve this issue with your landlord. And if you don't do it, you're just going to sit there and look at the worst unethical individual ever. You see, ethics is so important within our lives. Everything that we do. Our ethics in church, our ethics in the courts, our ethics in schools, our ethics in our jobs. Ethics has to be focused on every single day because it's so easy to go into another direction. It's so easy to go into the wrong direction or take the wrong road or become unethical. All of us at some point in time have been touched by an unethical act, or we have touched someone with an unethical act, and that is our responsibility. Now you have a choice at the moment to start the mediation process and begin the communication process with your landlord. Even if you go into a court situation, the judge is going to say you need to go out and mediate it. So if you don't take a proactive approach at this moment and go out there and contact a mediator and find out how the best approach to deal with your landlord is, then you're just committing another fraud. An unethical act. Those of you who have gone out and saved that money and then went and purchased a house or a car or whatever it is with that, instead of meeting your bill obligations, your debt obligations, your landlord obligations, your tenant lease obligations, then you have committed a fraud. You may think that you've pulled the wool over the government's eyes. Thank you, government, for giving me all this money. Because I have no intention to ever pay off my landlord. It's a big freaking deal, I'm telling you, because the more that you do this, the easier it is to do the next crime the next time. And you may be doing time for whatever fraud that you're committing. One fraud leads to another fraud, leads to another fraud, unless you stop it right now. You can see how you give 1 inch on fraud, it goes a long ways and becomes worse. If you look at the city of San Francisco in the state of California, who said, okay, we are no longer going to charge anybody with a crime if they've stolen less than $900. So you see this run on stores by criminals. They're not citizens. They're not people who need anything. These are people who are taking advantage of the law and creating a fraud and a crime against stores and going in there and robbing them blind and then just walking out with bagfuls of merchandise. And the police aren't going to come. The district attorney isn't going to prosecute them because the law says anything below that $900 mark, they're not going to arrest them for it. So you have runs on stores of people just going in and looting. If you look at the law, looting is a crime. And the police can't even stop anybody from looting anymore in San Francisco. And that little crime that they think that they're committing goes into a bigger crime, and then it becomes cars, and then it becomes drugs, and then it becomes... The one crime builds upon another crime, another crime, another crime, unless you stop it and realize that what you're doing is wrong. Those individuals in San Francisco who are going into those stores and robbing them is wrong. But they're encouraged to do it because the law encourages them to do that. And perhaps this unemployment situation encouraged you to commit this fraud because you thought it was free money from the government, so I'm just going to take as much as I possibly can. And not realizing what the taxpayer has to pay for. Not realizing that the national debt goes up because of what you've done. The money had to be created, so the government printed it. And so what does that do? It raises our inflation. So all Americans suffer because of your unwise act of not paying back your debt, not paying your lease amount, not paying what you were obligated to do under that lease. But you have that out. You have an out at the moment. And that is, if you really truly believe that you want to do something right, look at your lease contract, look at your lease, and look at the paragraph that says that you can go through mediation and arbitration. It's written right into almost every single tenant contract. And if you really want to do a smart move, that move should be to contact a mediation firm or contact your local city who's running. Some cities are running free mediation programs between tenants and landlords, or hire a private mediation firm and start talking to them about how to resolve this situation. You see, the problem is that when you go to court, the question is going to be, I can just hear the judge saying, did you receive unemployment? And you said, yes, I received it. Did you apply any of your unemployment towards your lease payments? And you probably said, no. You see, that moratorium was really for people who really could not afford to pay their rent. But if you get unemployment, that was supposed to be applied towards your debt obligations, your bills, your lease. So, I'm going to say, you know what, I feel sorry for you guys, but I can't, because you knew that what you were doing was wrong. And you didn't even try to reach out and try to work something out with the owner of that building or apartment or home that you're living in. You still have a chance now, because today is the first day of August. I would suggest on Monday, when you get up, you start calling a mediation firm and you start saying, how do I resolve this? How do I do the right thing and resolve this per my lease contract? Get out there and do it. It's your responsibility. It's not my responsibility anymore. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility. It's no longer the landlord's responsibility. It's your responsibility to reach out to him and resolve this issue. Let me tell you, when you go to court, I do not see it playing very fairly to you. Because the American people have had it. They've had it with this fraud that the government has portrayed and what the American people have taken advantage of. Do the right thing. Do everything that is right. Because right always get you onto that right path. If you're committing a fraud and if you're doing something wrong, let me tell you, you're going to go down a whole bunch more roads that say wrong on them. You went the wrong direction. Do what's right. Contact a mediator. Contact your local city and see if there is not a free mediation program out there that can help you. But start mediating it. Start talking to your landlord and getting things resolved. And those of you who committed the fraud, I don't know if I even care about you, because since you knew what you were doing was wrong and you still did it, I can guarantee you are going to go down another path that's wrong. How are you going to report this unemployment benefits? Enough of that, because it pisses me off. Every time I think about it, and every time that I hear that message again from that individual that played that recording, it gets me more and more pissed off. Because I know that there was a fraud committed. Fraud's a big deal. It is a big deal. Now, this morning I also want to talk about COVID and all of those of you who are posting all of these remarks about people not taking the COVID vaccine. And you guys are literally saying things that are so mean and so disgusting. I'm going to try and find one here. Just 1 minute. There's a lady on TikTok. On TikTok, I mean. Not TikTok, but TikTok? I don't know. I don't care. TikTok. She literally said that people who are not... Well, one thing, she's upset with the state of California and DeSantis, our governor. And she is literally calling people the worst names. I'm going to play you her bit right now.
So, Mr. Dickface DeSantis in Florida, the governor, has just signed an executive order to ban any mask mandates that could possibly happen in any of the school districts of Florida. And that way it gives protection to the parents, so their children have a right not to wear a mask. Because you know little Johnny can't breathe, right? Johnny can't breathe. So I want to say let's be pissed at the governors, but this is who we ought to be pissed at. All the parents, yes, the parents, the anti-vax, the anti-mask parents. In fact, let's not even call them parents anymore. They're just straight up fucking murderers. Yep, murderers. So
there goes a crazy lady. And I see it time after time after time. Social media has gone wacko and nutso and pointing fingers. Let me tell you, when you start pointing fingers and when you begin blaming somebody, you lose the power of your argument. When you start calling other people murderers, you lose the power of your argument. You no longer have an argument, basically, because now you just want to be political. I've had so many people respond back, and I watch them carefully of how they are attacking the Republicans. So they've taken a COVID vaccine. They have taken the decision-making process that people should have the right of choice of making that decision of taking the vaccine or wearing the mask, and they've made it political. Now it's all Republicans. So all of the left wingers are blaming the the Republicans and the conservatives on not wearing masks and all this other stuff, and demanding that they have their liberties given to them so that they have the right to make the choice for their healthcare issue. I'm going to tell you this right now. This vaccine has not worked. It may have protected a few people, but even those people who thought that they were protected now can get the vaccine again. And not only that, but they are carriers of the vaccine. And those individuals who are in the hospitals, or that they say are in the hospitals at the moment, they are there because they have COVID. They have recaught COVID. So this vaccine has not been successful. Wearing a mask has not stopped the spread of COVID. And so we have all these mixed messages coming from Fauci and the president and all over the place, and CDC and doctors abroad and physicians and everybody else that have to deal with this every single day. And the message is so mixed and so convoluted that it means nothing at the moment. So here's what we have to do. Change your mindset. Because let me tell you, the vaccine doesn't work. The mask doesn't work. So you have to practice good health. And then we have to look at this. What is the treatment of COVID in the hospitals? Because that's where our focus should be. Because all of us at some point in time is going to get some form of COVID. I do not believe that we can help it any longer because we don't have anything to protect us. But how are they working on the treatment while I'm in the hospital? I want to know that when I get to the hospital that there's a treatment that will help me through the process. Just like when I go to the doctor, which I haven't had to go. Listen, I have not had the flu since I was a little kid. I have never had the flu since I was a little kid. But I know that if I would have to go to a doctor, what is the doctor going to tell me to do? He's going to tell me X, Y, and Z, and that's what I need to do. If my immune system is weak, I know I have a worse chance of healing quicker. I know if I have a breathing issue, a breathing problem, my health is a little bit more dangerous. So what is the current treatment in the hospitals that is going to help me through this process? What is going to help me through the process? When I get to that hospital, when I get to that ER or urgent care facility, what is the treatment that is working and that has a success rate? That's what I want to know. I don't care about the vaccine any longer because I know it's not working. I don't care about wearing masks any longer because I know it's not going to work. I know that if I build up my immune system, I will have a fighting chance. But when I get to that hospital and somebody has to care for me and they know that it is a COVID incident, how are you going to treat me to make me better? Has the healthcare profession worked hard enough to find a method to get us through the COVID situation? And yeah, sure, it probably may take a few more beds and stuff like that, because obviously the first method of masks and vaccines didn't get us there, didn't get us to a successful rate. This is a vaccine. It builds, it spreads, it changes, it moves along, it attaches itself to things. And we are going to get it at some point in time. We just have to realize that. But we also have to realize, what is the treatment going to be for me as a patient when I get to that hospital that's going to be successful? And do I have the protocols in place that the nursing staff, the respiratory therapist, and everybody else that's going to treat me, do they know what the protocols are that are going to help me out? That is the biggest question that we should be asking. Not if a vaccine is working, because it's not. What we should be asking is, what is the treatment that you're going to give me that the nurses know, the therapists know, the occupational therapist knows, the doctors know, the labs know, what is it going to be? How are you going to treat me? How are you going to treat me? That, to me, that's the most important thing. When I go in for a heart surgery, I better have a team that knows that once I get into that surgery room, that there are protocols that have to be administered and followed that's going to get me through that surgery. Well, it's the same thing with this stupid damn COVID. It is a virus. What are the protocols that everyone's going to follow to get me through this? And we never talk about it. You never hear the mainstream media talking about it. You never hear doctors talking about it. You never hear the CDC talking about it. You never hear the Department of Health talking about it. You never hear any discussion about the treatment of this disease, of this virus. Instead, it's all about the implementation of this COVID shot. That it's not working. And yet they want to push us, they want to mandate us, they want to do all this sort of stuff, they want to control us into doing all this stuff. But I'm telling you, the key to this is none of that. The key to it is, what is the treatment that I'm going to get once I go into that hospital that has all the protocols and everything in place that they know how to treat me? I had better start hearing people talk about that, because that's what's going to save my life. Because obviously, if you get the vaccine, you're still susceptible to COVID, and you can still get COVID, and you can still end up in the hospital, and you can still end up dying. So what is the healthcare protocol for the care and treatment of COVID in the hospitals, in urgent care facilities, in skilled nursing facilities? What is it? You had better start focusing on that, or you're going to lose a lot more Americans because you don't know what to do. And for you nurses out there saying that, oh, go out and get the shot and wear the mask, just freaking do it. That's what you're telling me. I just heard a nurse say that. I want to know what you're doing in that medical facility that's going to save my life. Don't complain about other people. You had better start focusing on what you're doing as a nurse. I go to the hospital and I'm paying for that medical treatment because you are supposed to know the protocols and the treatment on how to take care of me and get me better. That is your responsibility. And if hospitals are going to go around saying we are going to fire nurses, we're going to get you no longer can come into this hospital unless you've had the COVID vaccine. Well, guess what, hospital? That COVID vaccine that you gave somebody didn't work. And you expect your physicians and your nurses and your medical team to all have that COVID vaccine that doesn't work. You are setting yourself up for a big lawsuit. I want to know, hospital, from you, what nurses are you getting rid of that are so good and so talented in their healthcare profession that you're willing to discriminate against them because they don't have a COVID vaccine that isn't working? Is that medical science? No. Is that is that medical or healthcare ethics? No. Your job is to treat that patient. Your job is to save that life of that patient. Your job isn't to make moral decisions on your nurses. You are supposed to be training your nurses on the proper protocols on how to treat that patient. That is your responsibility as a medical institution. I don't ever hear you talking about it. Instead, you're taking a political stance on a COVID vaccine that healthcare should never be a political situation. That's unethical. Once you begin mixing politics into healthcare, it becomes unethical. Because you know why? Politics is an ethical being. It's an unethical entity. And that unethical act of politics within your medical decisions kills people. It's not that individual who's not taking the COVID vaccine. That's his ethical decision to make the decision not to take that vaccine because he doesn't believe in it. But it's your ethics in the healthcare industry to make sure that the treatments are there to take care of these patients who do get COVID. But you never talk about that. Nurses never talk about that. I have heard some nurses saying that there are some COVID accidents happening. That scares me. It scares me a lot. Because they don't know, and they've even admitted that they don't know what the protocols are. They don't know how to handle it. Because you as a hospital have not thought about the treatment process well enough to give guidance to your nurses on how to handle this COVID virus within the human body and to heal that human being. So we have a lot of ethics problems going on in this nation. And if you guys do not stop playing the politics, and if you keep putting the politics within your decision-making process, you're doing greater harm to this nation than ever before. I think that all of your hospitals need to sit down, re-examine on how you're going to handle this ethically, how you're going to deal with your staff ethically, how you're going to deal with the training processes and the protocols on treating this virus ethically and right, so that human beings, when they go in, they have a faith that you're going to help them. Right now, it's a toss-up. Because we don't know what's right, we don't know what's wrong. All that we know is that this is being said, somebody else is saying this, and I say, focus on the treatment. That's the end of my lectures for the day. And that was my Sunday morning or afternoon. I don't even know what time it is now. Oh, it's 1:41, so it's afternoon. Listen, you guys, ethics is so important because ethics is what can control the lives of so many people and make them better if we act ethically. But if we act unethically and we do the wrong thing and we focus on the wrong issues, we will never get to the next point where people are being helped. People are doing the right thing. Ethics in our lives is a very essence of doing or being a human being that wants to help other human beings. But those of you who are out there pointing fingers at other people because you think they're doing wrong, that's wrong. That's unethical. Let's start focusing on what needs to happen to make things work. Individuals who are creating a fraud by taking unemployment and then not paying off their bills, you need to rethink your position in life and what you are thinking about ethically. Those hospitals out there who are telling people to go and get vaccinated on the vaccination that doesn't work and telling people to wear masks when the masks have not stopped the spread of COVID, you had better start thinking about what are the protocols that I'm using to treat our patients that work. Ethics, hospitals, ethics. Sit down and focus on your ethics of treating these patients. My gosh, you know what? If I had all day, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to. I think I've said enough, and I think you understand where I'm coming from. Listen, if you like my podcast, I try to do a podcast once a week now. If you like my podcast, go to, and help me out if you would, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. I'd greatly appreciate it. Again, that's www.buymeacoffee.com/ Michael Lodge, Lodge. If you have any questions or comments, send them to me at info at lodge, lodge-co.com. Again, that's info at lodge-co.com. Everybody go out and have a great Sunday. God bless every single one of you. Stay healthy, build up your immune systems, tell each other a joke, laugh, enjoy life, because that's how you build up your immune system, is by the joy of life builds your immune. Taking the right vitamins and eating the right foods and laughter. Loma Linda did a study several years ago, Loma Linda Medical Center, and they did a study on laughter. And they went into the hospital and they conducted a experiment. And they tried to make people happy and go lucky, and they tried to tell jokes and everything. Those people healed quicker than the people in the other side of the study that it was just plain old medical care. It was those individuals who felt that they were part of the team and that they were made to laugh and they were made to enjoy life, even though they were in a sticky situation in the hospital. Those are the individuals that build up their immune systems, and they healed faster and got out of the hospital much faster. I love that. I love that study that they did. So keep laughing, keep telling a joke, keep pulling tricks on people. Keep eating the right vitamins and those vegetables and those fruits that are going to build up your immune system. Continue to take your vitamin C and your D's and your E's and everything else. Build up your immune system. That's the most positive thing that you can do through this COVID situation, is just to build up your immune system. Become a stronger person. And I also say to that on this Sunday, that not only are you building up your immune system, but focus on your spiritual strength also. If your spiritual strength is strong, you can make it through anything. If your spiritual strength is strong, you can see miracles happen. So build everything up. Don't tear everybody down. Don't try to put everybody down because you think they're doing wrong. That just takes down your immune system. All this negativity and all this name calling, all this pointing the fingers and everything does not do anything for good mental health. Think ethically. Think about doing right. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you very soon. Bye-bye. This podcast has been brought to you by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.